Hey guys, and welcome back to my last declutter series. So hopefully finishing the last with a bang. I know eyeshadow palettes are usually my favorite declutters to watch. I kind of just piled them here on top. So let's just go on and jump right on into this. So I guess we can start with these two Natasha Anona like mini palettes. So the bottom one here is the mini nude palette, and then the top one here is the mini star palette. So I will say I really do like these formulas. They're really nice and buttery and creamy. I use this one so much. I got a good dip going in this light brown here. This for sure has to be like my favorite shadow by far. This is a really pretty like blue, purple, like duochrome. Absolutely love it, so I'm gonna hold on to that one. And then this one's actually pretty new to me, but these just they're just so nice and creamy. That's those there, so I'm going to hold on to this for sure. Then next up, let's just do this Laura Geller Southampton Classic. It's a face palette, and it comes with a bronzer, a blush, and then 4 eyeshadows. I will say I've only used this a couple of times. It's not bad by any means. I just don't really reach for it. The bronzer and blush is fine, but they're not all that pigmented. I feel like I kind of have to like build up the bronzer. And honestly, I have these other shades. I mean, I don't really have anything like this blue, but I just don't reach for this kind of color on the normal. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and pass this one along. Next up I have the Huda Beauty Nude Light. This is somewhat new. I know she just came out with a new palette that I'd like to get my hands on. If you guys would like a first impressions on this, just let me know. The packaging is like A+, but if I can open it, this is what the inside of it looks like. I haven't used it, just swatched it, and these just feel so nice and like buttery. Oh, like, yes. Like, look at that. That is just pretty. So definitely gonna hold on to this. If you guys would like to see like a tutorial or first impressions on that, just let me know, and I'd be more than happy to do so. Another one I know I can get rid of is this Milani one. I know this is newer that they came out with. I think they came out with the like maybe 2 other palettes like this. But you have 2 highlight shades and then 3, 6, 9 eyeshadows. Honestly, never put it on my eyes, and I've had it for probably about 2 months or so. I mean, they feel fine. Like, I've swatched them. They're nice and smooth. But I don't know, for some reason I just haven't even thought about playing with this palette, so I'm just going to go ahead and give that one away. And then another one I know I can give away is this Wet n Wild. It was a limited edition from their quartz collection. This is the rose quartz. Has 3 shades, and this one is a like shimmer shade right here. I mean, they are pretty. Like, this one's kind of on the rougher side. But I just would have to reach into another palette just to be able to use these shades. So I can go ahead and give that one away. Let's see. I have the Violet Voss Essentials. I got this in, it was either a Boxy Luxe or a Boxy Pro, or just a regular Boxy Charm box. But I've only swatched it. I've never actually used it on my eyes. But I will say they look really nice and pigmented, and they're just nice and creamy. Like, they swatch really nicely, but I just haven't had a chance to reach for this palette. And I want to keep it and hopefully get around to using it some more. But I want to hold on to that one. Another one I know I can get rid of is this Colorpop Sweet Talk palette. Everybody was raving about this palette when it came out, and I used it in a first impressions, and I used it a couple times after that, and it's just, I could not get it to work to save my life. I don't know what it was. I mean, I love these kind of tones, but I don't know, for some strange reason, I just could not get this palette to work. and so I'm just going to pass it along to someone who can hopefully get it to work, and maybe they'll like it more than I did. So this one's definitely leaving my collection. So another one I know I'm for sure keeping is the ABH Sultry palette. I know this was limited edition. I don't know why they did that, but this is just such a cool tone lover's dream right here. I love this palette. It's your typical ABH, you know, formula. They are kind of kick-uppy and powdery, but I have no problem blending these out and just making different types of looks with this palette. You can either go very smoky like date night, or you can definitely tone it down and, you know, for the daytime. So I absolutely love this palette, and if you, I know I've seen them in like TJ Maxx's and stuff, so if you see it, definitely pick it up. I think it's worth it, especially since you're not going to be buying it at full price, but even then I still think it was worth the money. So hold on to that one. One I know I can let go is this Rimmel Magnificent Spice Edition. I think it's supposed to be a dupe for like the Urban Decay Naked Heat, and I've worn this maybe once or twice. I did like how it turned out, but honestly, I mean, I don't really reach for these types of colors, and you're just going to get pretty much the same look almost every time you use this palette. I mean, they're fine, they're pigmented, they blend out just fine, but just not something I wear on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to go ahead and let this one go. Another one I know I want to keep is this Dose of Colors Pretty Cool palette. Got this in a BoxyCharm, I think maybe last month or a month before. I haven't had a chance to play with it yet. It still has the protective thing to go that way. But I haven't had a chance to play with this yet. Again, another cool tone palette, but these are all matte, and they just feel so nice and smooth. Like, I really need to get my hands on this and start playing with it. So, holding on to that one for sure. Let's see. Another one I'm going to hold on to is the Huda Beauty Desert Dust palette. This was my first, like, high-end, like, expensive palette. This is I think $65. And I love this palette. I think it's nice. The mattes are nice and buttery. They blend just fine. I will say some of these are, like the shimmery shades, are a little bit tricky to play with, but I mean, they're absolutely gorgeous. I recommend if you have this palette or buy this palette that the shimmer shades are better applied with your finger, especially like the ones that are kind of like eye toppers. Definitely use with your fingers, but definitely going to keep a hold of that one. Let's see, let's talk about one that I have used so much that I broke it. But this is the xoxo Revolution. It's her first palette. I love this. Obviously, I have pan in 3 different shades. I love this palette. I just need to dive into more of these tones over here. So, I want to keep this palette. It still blends fine. It has, again, that really pretty blue, like, duo shift to it. Love it. And, I mean, these are just really good quality for it being such an affordable palette. Like, yes. Love this. Gonna hold on to this one. Alright, let's go through my Z palette because I forgot to go over this in my single shadow declutter. This is my only Z palette, and this top row and this one are all individual shades, and then this row here and this one is actually from the Bling Boss Morphe x Jacqueline Hale palette. I just wanted to make a little bit more room and utilize my Z palette, so I depotted those and put them in here. And then these 6 right here, or was it 5? These 4, 5. No, these 6 right here. I was right. Are from the Bling Boss palette, the one that we got from BoxyCharm. It's the Laura Lee Los Angeles palette. I know for sure I can get rid of the Party Animal palette. It's not that they're necessarily bad. It's just they're not colors I typically reach for. I mean, they are nice and pigmented for sure, but it's just not colors I'm necessarily reaching for or wanting to like experiment with. So I'm going to pull these shades out and pass these along to hopefully someone who will find better use for them. So then these sets down here is the Bling Boss palette. I actually really did like this palette. There's a few shades in here I'm not like to die over, but they are really nice. This one has to be like my favorite. It's the Hush Hush shade. It's just this really pretty like purpley, like mauvey, like I just love like putting this all over my eyelid. Like I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And I really do like these shimmer shades to go along with it, like just like a 2 eyeshadow look and you're done. Love it. I will say like these 2 dark shades and this one, or these 3 dark shades here, and this like glittery whatever, the Berry Treasure, not my favorite. This and the shimmers are really where this shines. So I'm going to hold on to that. And then we can go through these real quick. So this one is So Pale by Makeup Geek. And this one is Peach Smoothie by Makeup Geek. And this one's Pink Brulee, I think, by Makeup Geek. This is Tan Lines by Makeup Geek. This one is Anastasia. It's in the caramel. And then this one is a Legend by Makeup Geek. Ooh. This is such a pretty, like, deep coppery color. Ugh, love it. And then this one is Charcoal Brown by Makeup Geek. And then this one I'm not quite sure where it's from. It's called New Moon. If you have any ideas, just let me know down in the comments, because I honestly don't remember. But it's this really pretty, like, taupe shade. So I'm going to keep the rest of these in this C palette here. Alright, another one I'm going to keep is the Anasazi Subculture palette. I didn't have a problem with this palette. Yes, it is very pigmented and it does have a lot of kick up. But I find that if you just take your time and you like really work on blending these out, they can work for you. It's definitely something you don't want to like rush on if you're trying to like go out the door. Not like a very fast friendly eyeshadow palette. But I do enjoy it. I don't think there's really anything wrong with it. I know some people hated it, some people liked it, and some people were like, it's okay. But I don't mind it, and I'm gonna hold on to it. I actually picked this up at TJ Maxx, I believe. So let's see. This one I can go ahead and declutter. It is the Physicians Formula eyeshadow in the Sultry Nights. I had the other one, but I went ahead and decluttered it. And this is what this one looks like. I've used this one a decent amount. I mean, they are so buttery and nice. I just don't find myself really reaching for it. But it is a nice eyeshadow palette. And it definitely feels like they're like the butter bronzer formula. Like really smooth. My brain's malfunctioning. Formula. And yeah, I would recommend this as a drugstore. I know it's a little bit more pricier for the drugstore, but I think it was worth picking up. But I'm going to go ahead and pass this one along. I'm sorry if there's so many jump cuts in this video. I'm still pretty sick, so I'm having to like pause to cough and all that fun stuff. But another one I know I can get rid of is this for Wet n Wild limited edition Fit for a Queen palette. I got this in one of their mystery boxes. It's alright. The only shade I didn't like is this one down here. It is so rough and chalky, and it's not even, I didn't like it. I mean, look at that. That's not, and I'm like really digging my finger in here. So, I mean, come on. Awful. But these shimmer shades are really nice and smooth. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass that one along. I just don't reach for it. It only has one actual working matte, but we're just going to pass that one along. One I'm going to go ahead and keep is the Jacqueline Hale palette with Morphe. I mainly like pulling this out in the fall time just because I feel like, I don't know, I get more inspired to use it in the fall than I do any other time of the year. not like a holy grail or a big favorite of mine like a lot of other people here. It's not bad, it's just not something that like speaks to me. But I am going to keep this a little bit longer. So far, it seems like every time I try to, like, whether I film a declutter or do just like a personal one, it always survives a declutter. So I'm just not ready to let it go, but I don't really think it was worth too much of the hype that it did get here on YouTube. Another one I can go ahead and declutter is the Revolution palette. I think it's in Forever Flawless, and my son kind of got a hold of this palette, but nothing that can't be fixed with a few little sanitation. But it's not bad, it's just not a color story that's like speaking to me. I mean, they're nice and soft, and I mean, they're pretty pigmented. I swiped over them. But I don't know, it's just not something that like I think about when I'm reaching to grab an eyeshadow palette. So I think it'd probably be good for Valentine's Day, but I'm just going to go ahead and pass this one along. What I'm going to go ahead and keep is the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. I picked this up while it was on sale. It seems to go on sale like on and off. I'm not happy that there's more shimmers than mattes, but I feel like they give you enough variety of mattes to actually complete a look. And these shimmer shades just feel so nice and smooth, and so do the mattes in here. So I like it. I think it's worth picking it up if you can find it on sale. I don't think I would pay full price for this. I think it's like $50 or $55, or maybe it was $60. I'm not quite sure, but I know I wouldn't pay full price for it. Another one I'm going to hold on to is the Alamar Cosmetics palette, and I really do like this palette. I think it's so pretty. These mattes are nice and smooth, and these shimmer shades, trying to find a place to swatch these, are so nice and buttery. Like, yes. So gonna hold on to that one for sure. So another one I'm going to hold on to is the BH Cosmetics Im Silvia palette. I did a first impressions using this and a palette bingo, where you get 2 highlighters and then the rest are your eyeshadows, although you could use these as eyeshadows if you wanted to. I accidentally dug my nail into that, but I find that these mattes are nice. I mean, they blend great, and it's, you know, BH, so it's on the affordable side. And I just think this is a really good rounded palette, because you get nice transition shades, some nice deepening shades, and then a variety of shimmer shades. So I definitely think this is a good starter palette if you're wanting to dive into some different colors, but you don't want to buy like a very colorful palette. I think this is nice, and it's definitely worth giving it a try. So I'm going to hold on to this one. One I know I can let go of is this Profusion Sultry palette. For one, I just don't like their packaging. It is just so big and bulky, and I just don't have a lot of storage space. And honestly, it kind of gives me like Anastasia Sultry palette and like the Urban Decay Born to Run. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. These are nice and smooth, but I just don't find myself wanting to. I had some excess powder on there. I'm just not really finding myself wanting to reach for this, but it is really nice. So I think you can pick them up at Walmart. I think you can also purchase them at Target, and I know I see a lot of Profusions at like TJ Maxx and Marshalls and that kind of places. So, and they're really inexpensive, but I'm not reaching for this one. I'm picking palettes over this one that has similar stories to it, so I feel comfortable passing this one along. Alright, so I'm going to pass this Maybelline Lemonade Craze along. I had this in my project pan, but honestly, I was just keeping it to use this shade because that was in my project pan. But after that, I mean, I know I'm not going to reach for it after I either hit pan or decide to roll it out and put something else in it. This one I only used one time for one eyeshadow look, and I already hit pan on it. And I'm not crazy about the story, color, or anything like that, so I'm just going to go ahead and pass this one along. Another one I'm going to pass along is the Colorpop It's My Pleasure palette. I don't know why, but people love this palette. I just cannot seem to get it to work for me. I just don't like the story tones in this. They're not, I mean, like this one here is so rough and gritty, and I accidentally dropped this, not far, mind you, and this shade and this shade completely shattered. So I had to go back in and repress them. I will say, however, this Mr. Sandman shade is like probably the only favorite eyeshadow out of this palette. I mean, it's so gorgeous. If I wanted to, I probably could depot that and keep it, but honestly, I just rather go ahead and just give someone the whole full palette, and so it's leaving. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and pull out the last two that I'm going to declutter, because I'm going to keep the rest of these. But I have the e.l.f. Matte for Matte, and it's just an all matte palette. I've used it a couple times. They're not bad. I mean, they are nice and smooth, but I just don't really find myself reaching for them. I feel like I have these in other palettes, and then that way I don't have to dip into another palette to get a shimmer, because I don't necessarily go for all matte looks. But if I find that I'm missing it and want it back, it's available at the drugstore, and it's fairly inexpensive. But I'm just going to go ahead and pass this one along. And then the last one I'm going to declutter is this e.l.f. The New Classics. Again, I had this in my project pan, but after using it in there, oh, I couldn't get it open, I've just come to realize that after I'm finished with my project pan, I'm not going to reach for this again. I mean, they are nice and they blend out great. They are so powdery and kick-uppy. For even it being an affordable palette, I mean, you're wasting a good amount of shadow. I will say that Platinum and Opulent are like my two favorite darker shimmer shades out of this palette. I don't want to let it go, but I just know I'm not going to reach for it. And again, if I want to pick it up, because I find that I actually miss having it, I can pick it up because it's very affordable at the drugstore. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass this one along. Alright, I'm just going to get this out of the way. I have the James Charles Morphe palettes, the mini palette. I just picked this up maybe a week ago. I haven't even taken it out of its packaging. I wasn't going to like review it on my channel or anything unless, you know, you guys asked, but I didn't purchase the original one, the big one he came out with. But I don't know, I just thought since it's smaller and the pans are smaller and it has so much color that I don't mind buying it, just because I'm not going to go through and hit pan on colorful shadows. I just know I won't. So even though he is controversial and I don't really care much for him, it's, you know, it has nothing to do with his controversy. It's just his personality and my personality don't really jive. So, but I just wanted to hold on to that one. And then I have this Natasha and Anona Sunset palette, which I didn't pay full price for. I think it's nice. I think her formula is good. I mean, they're nice and buttery. I will say, like, this one by far is the most, like, crumbly of the shimmer shades. It is gorgeous, though. And they blend out. I know it was on sale at Sephora. I don't know if it still is or not. I wouldn't say go out and spend the $130. I didn't when I purchased it. But it is nice. I do like using it. I just need to reach for it a little bit more. And I think this time of year is probably a good time to actually reach for it and dive into this palette. But I'm going to hold on to this one. And then lastly, I have the Laura Lee Los Angeles Nudie Patootie palette. She came out this last year's holiday, I believe. And I love this eyeshadow palette. I don't know why my lighting's not picking up on it. It's so weird. But I have a good dip going in Streaking and Butt Naked. And then this Exposed shade is like probably one of my favorite shadows of all. Like, this just really makes my like green hazel eyes just like pop. Oop. And it is just so freaking gorgeous. I love it. And this Undercover shade's really pretty as well. It's like a light pinky champagne color. I love this color. And then the mattes are really great. buttery and smooth, and they blend out. I've not had a single problem with this eyeshadow palette, and my sister-in-law actually used this on her wedding day. So I highly recommend this palette, you know, whether you like her or not, person aside. I think it's a really great palette, and I'm for sure keeping this in my collection. Okay guys, so we're keeping 17 eyeshadow palettes, I guess I should say. One being the Z palette. And we're letting go 12. That's not including the 6 shades that we pulled out of my Z palette, but I am really happy with that. I think I did a pretty good job. I wasn't expecting to get rid of as much as I did, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Let me know down in the comments, or you do you own any of these palettes? Do you like any of these palettes? There are any of these that you agree with and you don't really care much for? Let me know down in the comments below. Make sure you give this a big thumbs up. Hopefully this wasn't too bad of lighting and stuff. It's kind of dark and gloomy out today because of the rain, but anyways, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and until next time guys, see ya!